My name is Jo Marie,
I'm Rachel.
and we are so glad that you have joined us.
Welcome back to Better Together podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jo Marie, and we're so excited because today we are going to talk about a powerful discipline called stewardship.
Yes.
Last episode, if you were able to listen, and if you didn't, we suggest you go back and listen to it, was talking about all our, resolutions, right? It's like it's the new year, and how is it that we can live and honor God and live a godly life. But that was a really great episode. But today we're going to talk about stewardship. It kind of piggybacks on that topic, and I don't know, that word just like stuck with me. Like even like right before New Year's, that word stewardship came to my mind, and I want to read to you the biblical doctrine definition of stewardship.
Yeah.
So it is the biblical doctrine of stewardship defines a man's relationship to God. It identifies God as the owner and humans as managers. It is the recognition that we do not own our own lives, our money, or our talents. Instead, they are on loan from God to be used for his purposes. And, that's kind of convicting reading that, because I think, not really thinking about it a lot, we don't really think of ourselves as managing what is God's and really everything that we have, because God's word says every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord.
Yeah.
We don't think about it that way.
Right.
I think we're programmed to think, this is mine.
Right. I earned it.
I
bought
earned it. I got it. It's mine, blah, 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 and I'll do whatever I want with it. But if we shift our mindset to, how am I being a good steward with what God has put in my hands? I think it rewires our brain to put God first in everything, because it's not ours. Even our children,
Right.
they're not ours. God gave them to us, to love on them, to train them up, in the Lord, and to give him
and to be godly examples.
Exactly, and to give them back to him. And so it's eye-opening.
It is.
It's convicting.
When you look at everything that way, it really is convicting. And but if you rewire yourself to look at it every day that way, right? And we're coming off the holiday season and the busyness of it. Some people spent too much on Christmas, and
Ate too much,
spent too much, slept too much, or
scrolled too much.
All the things that we do too much of. And when you think about that, the time, instead of scrolling, were you being good stewards of the time that God has given you?
Right.
And not to be dark, but I did have this conversation with my husband recently, because I was just like thinking about things, and I was like, I realized I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning.
Oh.
I know. But it makes me think, like, I want to steward everything well.
Right,
like, what am I doing? Like, and I mean, that's the reality of life, and it's not in a negative way. It's more like, okay, so I think because maybe we were talking about legacy at church, something made me think about that. And I was like, okay, so what am I leaving behind? What is the legacy? Like, what am I doing with my time? What am I spending my time doing? So when you think about that, and you look at like how often, pastor says, look at your phone and look how many hours it shows you spend on your phone.
I don't want to look.
Like, that can be convicting,
Right.
because what could I have done better with that time?
Yeah.
Instead of scrolling on the phone,
true.
when you look at your bank account, right? And you realize like how much money I spent at Starbucks,
Right.
right? And you add it up, because I do that. Like, we spent this much at Starbucks for the week. Like, wow. Do
Yeah,
you
'cause
realize
you think like, oh, $6,
yeah,
$7,
it
like, oh,
adds
it's
up.
nothing, and then you're
Yeah.
like, you're adding it at the end of the month, and you're like, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
You
That's a
know?
lot. And
Yeah.
what could I have done with that money? And then, you complain that what you don't have, the money you don't have to do whatever you want to do with, but you could have maybe been doing something better. So I think stewardship, there's a lot of ways to think about it, but
Right.
everything that we do have comes from God, and it really like draws us to say, okay, what am I doing with everything? My time, my finances, my family. How am I serving?
Right.
What am I doing?
Yeah, because I think oftentimes we pray for things, right? Or we ask God, like, God, can you just give us, a little bit more money?
Right.
Or God, can I just have like, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
God, can I have a better job? God, can you give me a better home, a better like living room set? Like, we're always looking outside for
Yes.
more things to receive, right? If only I can have blank. If only I can have a better body. If I could only
Yeah.
have more money. If I could just have a better job. If I could just have whatever it is, a better wardrobe. Things would be better.
Right.
But I think when you think about stewardship, it's like, okay, God, instead of like wanting what I don't have, what is it that I can do with what I do have?
Right.
What is it that I can honor you, or how can I honor you with what you put in my hands? And a lot of times we look at what we have in our hands and we think it's not enough. And we think it's not good enough. And maybe it's precisely what you need for God to use you.
Right.
Or maybe it's precisely what you need to, I don't know how to say this, like acknowledging what you have and doing well with it is what you need to like
to get to the next.
well to just show God that you're faithful with the
right.
little that he's given you,
Yeah.
and not that you'll be faithful when you have a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense, right? Because if you're not faithful with the little,
Right.
why should you have more?
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
you prove yourself faithful with the little, and then he's going to give you what you need. And that's the thing also, being faithful with the little you have, or the little you think you have, because sometimes we think we have little, but there's someone praying for what you have.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And
it's all just
yeah,
subjective.
it's perspective.
Exactly.
And it makes me think, okay, so my husband and I were in I think we were in an island, and
I want to be on an island right now.
I know it's too cold. And we went off like the beaten path, and so the guy who was taking us around, he took us, like, it was a really poor area, and they lived in shacks, and some of the shacks didn't even have doors. And he said to us, so where are you from? And we said, we're from New York. And he said, oh, I feel so bad for you. So, my New York side comes out, and I'm like, really? You feel bad for me? I feel bad for you, And then I said, I really said that. I said, we were just saying we feel bad for you guys. Why do you feel bad for us? And he said, oh, I tried living in New York for a year. He said, everyone is in a rush to get somewhere. He said, everyone is pushing to get on a train, pushing to get on a bus. Everyone lives by the clock, and you have to get here.
True.
And he said, and once you have a little, then you have to have more. You have to have more. And he said, here, he said, everybody works to share with each other what they have.
I love that.
And he said, and we don't have doors, but it's okay. On the weekends, we all share everything, and we celebrate on the weekends. And I was like, oh my goodness, they got it right, and we're wrong. And, so I say, we, no matter what you have, someone's praying for what, what
For
you
sure.
have.
And really, like in America, if you live in America, no matter how little you think you make,
You have
you are
much.
living better than 98% of the world.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that's
the
the
truth.
statistic that
Right.
we are better. We
Mhm.
live like kings, really. We live
Yeah.
so much better than 98% of the world.
And we think we don't.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing, is appreciating what you have,
Mhm.
right? And being thankful for it,
Right.
and trusting God is, his word says he's going to, anything we need, he's going to provide.
Amen. And I think stewardship goes in line with
Absolutely.
contentment.
Yes.
You know, because if you steward well, then you're content with, you know, honoring God with what you have, but just, you know, waiting for him to kind of just bless you for your obedience, but you're content, you're okay.
Right.
Like, this is what God gave us, we're going to do really well with what gave us. Like, think about your home, right? What, you know, many of you, if you live in an apartment, a studio, and you're dreaming of that big home, are you caring for your studio apartment? Is it
Right.
clean? Are you keeping it tidy? Are you being a good steward with your current situation?
Right.
If you live in a small home, but you know your family's growing and you want a bigger home, are you taking care of your little home?
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's all part of it. Like, it is, again, it's like, think of God like being the landlord, and he's just showing up doing a check.
Right.
Like, hey, I came to look at the house.
That's
There's
right.
none of this like, oh, I'm gonna be coming over in like in a couple days, and
That's
you're
right.
like rushing to clean all
Yeah.
that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
He's just, God's, just imagine God just wanting to pop in and be like, hey, I wanted to see what you were doing in my house.
That's right. It's the same
then
thing with
that's
your
so
work,
convicting.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's like, oh, I need a better job, more money. But are you showing up to work on time to the job that you have, that God gave you in the
Yeah.
first place, that you once prayed for?
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
And so are you showing up on time? Are you being a good coworker? Are you taking care of your responsibilities that were given to you at that work? Like, what kind of woman of God are you being in that place?
Right.
Because maybe God is using that place for a setup for the next place,
Right.
but he's waiting for you to be faithful and to learn what you need to learn there before
Right.
he could give you the next place.
Yeah.
And maybe there's somebody in that place from the next place that is going to say, oh, I like the character of that person. I like that work ethic.
Right.
But sometimes, and I've been guilty of it, we're so busy like complaining or having a pity party over, oh my goodness, they're not recognizing me. They're asking me to do so many things that aren't my responsibilities. You know, that's not my job, you know, all of
Right.
that. And, you know, I'm only a little late, and I'm, you know, whatever it is, or they expect it. They know that that's me, right? You know, whatever it is. And God's like, I gave you that job.
Right.
Like, and that's what you're doing with it. So I think that's part of stewardship too.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Every aspect
Everything.
of our lives. God's one. Yeah, I love that you said that God is doing something in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we're being good stewards with what we have in our hands, he's building character,
Yeah.
right? He's building our dependence on him and our trust in him. And in God's timing,
Yes.
right? In God's perfect timing and in his perfect will, he will bless you in ways we can't even imagine. We think it's, you know, sometimes it's more of whatever we're asking for, but maybe it's something different. And he sees your faithfulness in it, and then he blesses you in a different way, and it's so much better than you could ever imagine.
Right.
So I think just understanding that we serve a good, faithful God.
Amen. Yeah.
And, you know, he works all things for good for us. For those who love him, who are called according to his purposes, that's, you know, that's a promise in scripture
Yes.
for the believer. So why not? Why not trust him with whatever he has given us, no matter how small we think it is?
That's right.
Because every gift, if we really believe that every gift comes from him, we are going to be blessed even more.
Right.
In whatever way.
Right.
So when we were thinking about stewardship, we were thinking about the widow and the oil from the story from 2 Kings. So I want to read to you from that story. It's a short story, but it's so powerful.
Yes, it is.
If we really want to dig deep, we could spend hours really
Yes.
just digging into like all the different meanings in it.
Mhm.
But let me just read it. So we're reading from 2 Kings chapter 4. The wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves." Elisha responded to her, "How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" "Your servant has nothing there at all," she said, "except a little oil." Elisha said, "Go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into all the jars, and as each is filled, put it to one side." She left him and afterward shut the door behind her and her sons. They brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. When all the jars were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another one." But he replied, "There is not a jar left." Then the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God, and he said, "Go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your son can live on what is left."
Mm.
Such a powerful
It
story
really is.
of what do you have in your house. I love how like she went to the prophet and he's like, "What do you have in your house?" She's
Right.
like, "Help me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my husband was a man of God, but I have debts, his debts I had to
Right.
pay off now." And it's not like he's like, "Oh, here's some money."
Right.
He's like, "What do you have in your house?"
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh, nothing. Just a little
Just a
oil.
little oil.
Nothing."
Yeah.
And
But
it's
I love that, like, she says that, and when he instructs her, she just does it. Right?
yeah.
Like,
That's part of doing things immediately.
right.
Remember, we talked about that last episode?
Yes.
She didn't say, "Oh, I'll wait till I get a little bit more oil." She was like, "Okay, if
Yeah.
that's what you want me to do, well, I'll go." It sounds crazy. Why would I fill up all these jars? Ask for all
But
these jars.
that would have been my response if I'm honest. I would have been like, "Say what? What?
Didn't I tell you I only
know.
have a little?
I have a little bit of oil, nothing else. Why am I getting all these jars?
Right.
What are we gonna do with it? You know, I want
Right.
to know. Okay, what's the process? Tell me the process
Right.
right now. Like,
Are you going to give me more oil?
I know,
And then
like,
I'll fill up the jars.
what do the oil has to do with my debts? Tell
Right.
me. Like, what are you thinking here? But I love that she went to the man of God, and he just said, "What do you have?" And she said, "This is it." And he tells her what to do, and she does it because she trusts Elisha, knowing he's a man of God, knowing
Right.
his character. And it's more about trusting God. If this is what the man of God says, this God is going to, whatever it is, however crazy it is,
Mm-hmm. God
God is going to supply. So I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And I love when we see examples like that in the word.
Right.
But that's what, because if you think, like, this woman just lost her husband, it's her and her sons. They don't say how old her sons are. So the desperateness of that situation
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
must have been tremendous for her.
Yeah, but God blessed her obedience.
Yes.
That oil just kept flowing.
Yeah.
It just kept pouring. It's just
Mm-hmm.
God always provides.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never going to leave you stranded.
No.
He's never going to leave you without. He cares for you. So that example is just like, okay, God, I have this little oil. You're asking me to pour it into jars, and I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going
Right.
to do what you say. And he blessed her for it.
Yeah.
And that's just what it means. Like, okay, what do you have in your house right now? What do you have in your life right now that you can use to honor the Lord? How can you steward what God has given you? Finance wise, food wise,
Time.
are you letting all your is your pantry full of expired goods because you just decided to keep going to the grocery store instead of using what you have in the home? Like, are you being a good steward of that? Because that's
Right.
also money wasted. And as I'm talking to you, I'm feeling very convicted because I probably do have a lot of expired cans in my pantry that now I'm gonna go home and look through that because
Yeah.
now I'm thinking about it like that. I'm like, I don't want God to be like, you just wasted all of that food,
Mm-hmm.
food, finances, time to go to the grocery store back and forth when you already had stuff at home.
Yeah.
Like, you know how you tell your kids, like, the kids are like, Mom, I want McDonald's. And you're like, we have food at home.
Yeah.
Like, that's being a good steward.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, that's being a good steward. So God's like, why are you buying that when you already have that
Mm-hmm.
something else at home that you can use? So, you know, are we being good stewards with that? Or what about your gifts and talents?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you gifted in some way that you have yet to share with the world,
Right.
that you have yet to share and bless others with? Because I don't know, you're afraid of failing, you're afraid that people aren't going to like what you have to offer, all this stuff, but you know that you have a gift.
Right.
And are you too afraid to share it? That's
Right.
like that's another aspect of it too.
Yeah.
And God's gonna be like, so that gift I gave you. So what'd you do with it, Rachel? Like,
Yeah.
you just
And
kept it hidden. Did you keep it hidden even though people were telling you you're gifted in that
right.
area, you're anointed, and you're just like, I'm too scared, I'm too
Right.
shy, and you never shared it with the world? God is gonna say, what'd you do with that?
Mm-hmm. And that is all um s- staying stagnant out of fear, and fear is not from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is such a tool of the enemy to stay where you are. He does not want you moving forward. So when you start hearing that talk, that whisper, you have to recognize it, because it definitely is not where God wants you to be. And maybe you are like this woman, right? She says, I have nothing. I just have this little bit of oil. Like, what is that thing that you're overlooking
Mm-hmm.
that God has given you? And you made some great points, like that expired food. I just had this conversation at home because we're starting the Daniel fast, and I'm
Right.
going through all the stuff that, oh, why do we have all this food? And that's like, because you kept ordering out when we had all this food. But anyway, I digress. But you know, she just thought, well, but all I have is this little oil.
Mm-hmm.
But we all have something.
Mm-hmm.
God has given us all a gift,
Right.
and He's given us gifts. Some of us have talents and gifts, and whether it's baking, whether
I was
it's
just
create,
thinking baking. Like, who has
or
that
it's
gift of baking?
creative. We have a young person in our church that does beautiful nails.
Mhm.
Like, it's such creative, and she bakes actually.
Right.
And we have a couple of bakers now that I think about it,
Mhm.
and we have people who are the aesthetics, creative, writing, and all of those things, and even people who put on this podcast.
Right.
Like, there are so many talents that you think, oh, that's just a little thing, but God doesn't. Nothing is little in His economy.
Yes.
So stop, downsizing what God has given you.
Right.
Stop looking at it through this little tiny lens, and ask God, like, God, how can I use this? And He will show you, because
Right.
He says, if you ask and you believe, like, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
And then it's your job to be obedient, like this woman. And what this story also shows is wasn't just a testimony for this woman. Her sons were a part of it, because they were pouring along with her.
Right.
So this legacy goes on, right?
Yeah.
It speaks to them as well.
Right.
And as they go on in life, like, they have this story. They're like, man, my mom had nothing but a little bit of oil.
Right.
We had a ton of debts. My dad died, and God spoke through this prophet, and somehow we had jars of oil, and we're able to pay off our debts. God is faithful.
Amen.
And how He
Amen.
could do that in each of our lives. And I'm sure if we think about it and we really examine our lives, there are times in our lives that God has filled jars of oils for us.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Can I just tell you
yeah,
a quick
go ahead.
story?
Go ahead.
We
Mhm.
were serving food at the church. I think we were celebrating, like, it was our opening of our new building, and we were giving out lunch. We were giving out pasta, and there was a long line. And I was looking at the trays of food and the line. And in my head, I was asking everybody, I was like, is that all the food we have left? And they're like, this is all the food that we had left. But what happened is they covered half of this long pan with foil, and they only opened up the front. So they were scooping out the pasta, and then like the line kept coming, and eventually the line got shorter, and I kept looking. I'm like, oh, we still have food? They're like, I don't know, but there's still pasta coming out of this
That's amazing.
pan.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, it just happened that the foil was covering the other side, and God is like, don't worry, I got you. And we were all looking at it like this was a miracle, because then the line was finished. Everybody was full. Everybody ate, and there was still pasta in that pan. It was crazy. Like that's my
yeah. But even in that, like God's, it's a celebration, and He's like celebrating what I've done. I'm not gonna let the pasta run out. Like I'm not gonna let anybody go hungry. Like why not? You know. But that's what I mean. Like nothing is too small in His economy.
Right. But when you were talking about your kid, the kids, the sons watching The Widow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, what your family is watching you.
Yeah.
Your family, like you talked about legacy building before. You're building this legacy of faithfulness.
Yes.
Not with I'll only be faithful when God gives us more and more, but hey guys, let's be faithful with what we have now. Yes. When they see you do that, like you can talk to them all you want, but if you're not living that way, it's not going to happen. They're not going to believe it. They're not going to live it. Exactly. But when they see you living it out day after day, that gets instilled in them, whether they like it or not. Because you know how like we eventually become like our parents sometimes in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
Because we watch them do certain things, we watch them say certain things, and it just becomes ingrained in us. But when you do these things of faith, when you're living out faith in front of your children faithfully day after day, just being like, honoring God with whatever you have, they're going to continue that legacy with their families as well. So just know that there's little eyes watching you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what's so powerful about everything we do. Like even the faithfulness in praying, right? And that's part of what you do with your time, and your kids will see it. Your family will see it. If you don't have kids, if you have nieces, nephews, or whoever is in your environment, whoever those people are, they see, whether things are hard, are you still giving thanks? When things are good, are you still giving thanks?
Right.
People see that, and that's part of legacy building. That's part of, showing how the faithfulness of God through thick and thin, when things are hard, when things are great. Are you consistent?
Right. Yeah. I think, that story, the rabbit and the hare.
Yeah.
And like the rabbit just wants to like do it fast, but the hare and the turtle.
Yeah.
Totally.
Wait, what did you
I said
say?
The rabbit and the hare. I'm like, wait, the rabbit is the hare.
Oh my goodness. And I said yes. Yes, it's a turtle. It was a turtle.
I think it's the hare and the tortoise.
Yes, we know.
I think, ladies, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about, Rachel.
The tortoise is a turtle.
Right. The turtle, the rabbit just wanted to go do things fast, fast paced. And I think that's, what, like, we're living in that culture right now.
Yes.
But the turtle, it was just consistent, slow, steady, consistent, faithful with his steps, faithful. He knows what direction he's going to, but nothing is going to stop him.
Right.
And he finished his race, and he won that race. And so it's like we have to ask ourselves, like, how do we want to finish our race, right? Do we want to be faithful, consistent, or do we only move when we get whatever we want, whatever we keep asking God for? Like, maybe this is the year where we're not asking for more and more and more, but really it's kind of like, God, I'm going to honor you more with whatever you've given me. And I love the last part of that story where the oil stopped flowing when there were no more jars left.
Yeah.
There's so much. We could probably unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if, God's going to keep blessing you, like, if you keep going with it.
Yeah.
But, like, once you stop, when you stop
Mhm.
honoring him with what you have, then there's no more oil to go into. How am I saying it? I'm not saying it correctly. It's kind of like, the more you say yes,
Mhm.
the more you say, God,
Here I am.
here I am. The more you're willing to do whatever, the more the oil will flow.
Right.
And when you stop saying, oh, I've had enough, or this is not enough, or maybe I should stop
Yeah.
now, then the oil will stop. And it's
Mhm.
kind of just like, oh, like what blessings have we halted?
Right.
What have we stopped because we're like, we're done?
Mhm.
But
Right.
me, like the tortoise,
Right.
you just got to keep going.
Mhm.
You just got to keep going. You just and the blessing will continue to follow.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's not in what we think it will be, but we
Right.
just got to trust that it's what's best for us.
Right. Yeah, and that's hard. And it is hard.
Mhm.
Sometimes because it may seem like you've been running a race, right? And cuz it is a race. And you're tired and you're kind of like I just need some speed to this, or I need a change of scenery, or whatever it is, but it's really being faithful ourselves, but believing he's faithful.
Yeah.
And if we can fix our eyes on that, knowing he's faithful, okay, I can keep I'll keep
Yeah.
going at the pace that God has set for me.
Right.
Because if we jump ahead, we're going to miss out on something.
Right.
There's a purpose in every step. So if we jump ahead, we're going to miss out on something, and we can't look at the speed at what other people are running
Right.
or how they're living their lives, because that's their life. That's their lessons.
They're calling.
That's their callings.
And their
That's their
lane.
blessings. That's their, let them, pray for them, bless them.
Mhm.
But God has called you to a road that he has specifically paved for you.
Mhm.
So let's be obedient in it. Let's be good stewards of it, and let's be thankful in it. And let's fix our eyes on it when we start letting that voice of fear to say, oh, this is all there is. This is plenty. This is good.
Right.
I have breath in my lungs. I'm doing it. I'm
Right.
here.
Yeah.
I have a place. I have food. I'm going to make sure I'm using it well. I have time. I'm going to make sure I'm using it well. I see that person on the side needs help. I'm going to stop and I'm going to serve that person.
Right.
All of those things that you think are nothing, that's a big something for God.
Right. And I think everything that you just said, every time you say those things, that's another jar you're putting out.
Yes.
And another opportunity for God to pour
wanna make a
pour
jar
the
now.
oil of
I want to make a jar.
pour his oil of blessing.
Yes.
It's like such a metaphor. It's so powerful.
Oh.
Like, maybe we should bring the story back again in another episode and really
Yeah.
just dig deeper into like the deep
Yeah.
meaning of it. Like, do you keep bringing the jars for God to fill?
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you? And you'd have to ask God that. Like, God, how can I honor you with my life today?
Yeah.
Not with whatever you're going to bless me with tomorrow. God, how can I honor you today? How can I honor you with, it's a new year, right? People always say like, new year,
New you.
new me. But we can only be a new me when we are in line with the eternal, faithful God.
Right.
He's the one that creates a new us. He's the one that made us a new creation.
That's right.
Right? So if we are positioning ourselves in alignment with God, then everything will follow. Right?
That's right.
So
I think so it makes me, I really think of creating a jar and like decorating it and like putting in like, ways of like, how was I faithful today? And putting that in the jar and filling the jar up.
Yeah.
Because
Walmart. No, actually, I'm going to go look for a jar in my house.
Yes. 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 And we can decorate it. I think it's cute. It's a cute idea because sometimes we seem to get through the hurriness of the day and we don't really start like, I missed out. But we didn't miss out, and we don't have to miss out.
Right.
Because we don't it doesn't have to be this grand thing. I think let's just look at in our mornings. Did we start off our day in prayer, or did we run right to the news? Did we run to, you know, the coffee maker? And not coffee's bad. I like coffee, but I'm just saying, you know, did we run to everything else and not say, thank you for opening my eyes this morning. Thank you, I'm here. Thank you that I know you're with me. And then, you know, when we get in the car, thank you, I have a job to go to and I have a car to get there. And when we get to the job and things, did we take that moment and say, okay, when things got tight at work, to say, nope, I'm okay. God's got this. I'm gonna handle it. Did we get on time to work? And then, you know, just look at the little things. You know, did we serve people with a smile with whatever we did?
Yeah.
Did we show them love?
Right.
Those are things that don't cost anything. And maybe it may cost time, but those are things that often get overlooked that mean the world to people. You never know what people are going through who are just walking by you.
Right.
And feel unnoticed and unloved, and you don't know what they're going through, but you looked at them and smiled
Right.
and said hello or good morning,
Right.
and that totally changed their day.
Right. God gave you that ability to
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah.
We're New Yorkers, so you know.
Yeah. We got to
But
warm
yeah.
it up. But I think those are all like really things that we think are, oh, that's just oil. That's just a little bit of oil. But God can use that to like fill so many jars
Right.
for so many people.
Yeah. So don't look down on what you have.
No.
Don't think that what you have might not be enough, might not be good enough, might not be, you know, sufficient to do whatever you think. Just know that God gave that to you for a purpose, and you're to use it well in every area of your life. And really, it's for what? To bring honor and glory to Him, whatever we're doing. So I hope this, you know, short talk about stewardship really encourages you, challenges you. I know it's challenged me. I'm going to go to my pantry.
I'm making a jar. I'm going to decorate a jar.
And let's honor God, ladies. Let's
Yes.
just, Rachel, let's just honor God with what we have.
With
And,
joy.
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking about just now about when we thought about starting the podcast. It's like, what are we gonna say? Who's gonna listen to us? Like, you know, we don't even know what to do with a podcast, but we know that, you know, God put it in each of our hearts in separate times, actually. And we were like sitting in Panera a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I just brought it up. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I feel like God's asking you to do a podcast. And you're like, me too. And it was just like, and we were like, well, maybe we should do one together. Yeah. But then we were like, well, how are we going to do it? And then we got discouraged. It took a long time to actually put it together because we were thinking like, oh, it's not good enough yet. It's not good enough yet. We gotta do better. And we found that if we just start talking,
and that's really
it's a lot. It flows better. You know what I mean? Like we were overthinking things too much because we thought we needed to be like, I don't know, like every other person out there who's doing like an amazing podcast. But really, like, were we faithful? God put it on our hearts for a reason, right? And, you know, viewership might be slow in the beginning, but it doesn't matter because we're doing what God called us to do.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, He called us to do a women's podcast. And we never know. Maybe there's a woman out there that's listening that this was meant just for her to listen to. And we touched and changed one life.
That's right.
So we can't measure things the way God measures things.
Right.
We just have to do what His word says and say, and be good stewards, be good managers for whatever He's placed in our hands. Yes. So in closing, ladies, we want to say, what did God put in your hands?
What's your little oil?
Yeah. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes.
And what a good talk.
Yes.
And we encourage you guys to like and subscribe. And if you think that this would be a blessing to somebody that you know, we'd love for you to share it with them. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to answer them and get back to you. perhaps in a future episode. So we just thank you so much for joining us, and we pray that you will be good stewards going forward in 2026 and beyond.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. See you next time.